Been sitting for a couple months, so let's see what it does. I think we'll need an extra battery. It's also really cold outside, as you can see by the frost on everything. Let's try again. I removed this, which has been great as long as I've had this car, and I actually think I've had on the previous car as well, but it's still really hot to the touch. Definitely a bad connection through there. Maybe the whole ground cable's bad, but let's see if that made a difference. Might be a little bit flooded. It smells a lot of fuel, so foot to the floor. Yes. Alright, so that was the issue. We'll see if I can clean it up, or we'll do something else, because I like having a battery disconnect. A little bit cold. A bit cold-blooded there. But I'll let it warm up a tiny bit. We'll move into the workshop, and then we'll make a list. Well, welcome back to Living with a Classic. We're here with my usual daily driver. It's my 1975 Jaguar XJ6. And, well, if you're new to the channel, let's just go through the car a little bit, just a quick recap. I bought this thing almost 4 years ago now with a bad head gasket and just generally tired interior. But the car was in pretty good shape otherwise, rust-free and pretty decent. So we did a sort of a cheap project here on the channel to get this thing back on the road for not that much money. So did the head, did all that myself, went through and you know, put it all back together, and it ran fine for a while, but started using water again. And then after a bit of investigating, we realized it is a crack in that block, and I found a replacement engine. Put this one in there. And then I've just been daily driving this thing, summer, winter, all the time, and it's just been a lot of fun. However, it has now sat since about the middle of summer because it has some issues with it. It started misfiring a little bit, and I thought that would have something to do with my new 123 ignition in it. It did not, because I put a different distributor in it, and it realized it was water in the fuel. So I got most of that out. I think we still have a little bit in. We're going to drain the tank and flush it out. So it was a bat tank seal, which has been replaced, and now I can't get water in the tank anymore, but that ended up being the issue. At the same time, it also has an exhaust leak over here, which I want to fix because it's a bad stud. So we're going to do that. We're going to give it a service and a couple things. But I thought, you know what? Let's make a list, because then we can cross things off the list. So let us start with exhaust leak. And then we'll do swap distributors. And I want to put the 1, 2, 3 back. Oil change. It's just time for it. Might as well do it while it's in the workshop. We're going to swap tires. Put winter tires on it. And I have a slight water leak coming from the windscreen around here somewhere. And I think it's right up here. I can see where there's been a little bit of sealant and where it's cracked a little bit. So we're going to seal windscreen. And flush fuel lines, or flush fuel system. Other than that, I think we're good. We have just recently replaced the alternator before I put it off the road. And I checked now, it's charging really good at 14 volts at idle, which isn't bad at all. So I think that's it. We have a list, we have a mission. let us start with the exhaust manifold, because that's going to be the worst job, I think. So the leak is, I'm sorry if it's a shadow, but it's down here. And a couple of these studs here, there are 4 on each manifold, the threads are stripped. And I've tried to get them out before, and I haven't really been successful. I do now have an induction heater, so we might try that. But the more I look at it, it's going to be quite a bit of a pain. So I have a spare set of manifolds. I'm going to go have a look at those, and possibly we'll just swap them over. I do have manifold gaskets at home, I think. And these studs up here don't look too bad, so I think I should be able to get those off. I'm going to start by just spraying everything down with penetrating fluid everywhere, and then I'm going to go look for my spare manifolds, and we'll decide if we swap over manifolds or if we try swapping these studs down here. I think we're going to end up swapping manifolds. Got both manifolds off. The trick to doing it easily is to remove the front one, because then you have good access from the front to the back to get to the lower nuts. A couple studs came out, but we'll fix that. You can really see where it's been leaking. So let me see, just out the shadows. Right there. See all the black soot? So it's been leaking there. And it looks like it's been leaking up here as well. So the engine came with the manifolds attached. So I like to use some exhaust paste on these to actually get it to seal well. So it's been leaking there. And that was just from the studs being bad. And yeah, you can tell there's not a lot of threads left on these. They're pretty shot. So I have a spare set of manifolds. They look really, really good. They're from my spare engine over here on the ground. They just have, I think, 1 stud, which I think is in upside down. But they all have really good threads. I do have some new studs, so I'm going to try and get that one out, replace that with a new one. I'm going to check all the threads and replace with the ones that I need to if necessary. Another good thing is that this is the intake for the AED, the filter. And the other one was not the greatest shape, but this one's really, really good, because I replaced that when I had that engine. I completely forgot about that. So these are Series 2 manifolds. So they actually do have the possibility to put heat shield on there, and I'm going to do that. I'm not going to put on the Series 2 heat shield because I don't have the correct valve covers to get that going. Might do that in the future. I might just make some tabs here so I can have that heat riser over the top of there if I feel like I need it. But for now, I'm going to put a Series 3 heat shield on there just so it looks nice. But yeah, let me get to doing that. Get those sealing rings off, put new gaskets on there, put the studs in, and then we'll put all this back together. All right, so I have the manifolds from my spare engine on here and a couple new studs in them. So I put 2 new studs in that one, 2 new in that one, and the other ones were fine. That's tightened up pretty well. Still need to do the connection from this pipe to the straight pipe in the back down there, so I'm going to do that in a little bit. But in the meantime, I have cleaned up this heat shield. So this is a Series 3 heat shield. Series 1s didn't have it. This is a Series 1 engine, and a Series 1 engine, I can't fit the heat riser that goes over. Also, it's really not that vital, but I want to have some sort of heat shield. So this is a Series 3 one. It was in pretty rough shape. So I've sanded it down. I'm giving it some high temp paint. So I'll probably give that one more coat, and that should look really nice. While I crawl under there and do the last bit of exhaust, I'm going to let the oil drain as well. And oh yeah, in the meantime, I also replaced a hose clamp over there, which wasn't really that great. So lots of progress being made, but once the oil is changed, all of that, we can have a look at the fuel system. I also put a different battery in it. It's from my the XJ40 I'm going to fix. It came with a pretty new battery, and it fits. It's a nice big 74 amp hour one. So I put that in there. But yeah, plenty of progress being made. All right, so next day, this thing dried overnight and it's ready to go. But it's heat paint, so it's a little bit soft now, and then it cures when it gets fully heated up. Same sort of paint that I use on the cam covers and things, works really well. So I think that's going to look pretty smart once it's done. Maybe I should have done the bolts as well, but yeah, this is a daily driver. Update, it's still cold in here. However, I talked to the service people for that. They couldn't really get a technician out, but they sent me the service manual, and I have troubleshot it myself, and it's the circuit board and an outside bit. And they sent me that, and I said, yeah, no problem, I can replace that. So that is good news. So that should be really quickly. Hopefully in the next couple of days I will have heat again. But now I thought we would change the oil, and I think this stuff is going to be pretty dark. It's been in there for 2 years, but like I said, the car's been sitting during that time for a bit. But I think it's going to be pretty dark. And what I want to do is, what I like to do, I think it's pointless to put fresh, you know, good expensive oil in there, or the stuff I like to use, which is going to get dirty right away. So we're going to run a thinner oil through it just for a little bit, like a cheap parts store brand oil, just for like half an hour or so. It's 10:30 to flush everything out. You see it's pretty dark. And it's going to take a while for that to run out because the engine's not warm. But that's no problem. Also, it's kind of cold here. It's 8 degrees at the moment Celsius in here. So we'll put that down there. Let that drain out. But yeah, that's pretty dark looking. Then I'll put that 1030 in, and we'll run it on that for like half an hour or so. Take it out, and then we'll put in 20W50 castor oil. But if we go up top again, here, the next thing I want to tackle is putting my 123 back in. If you remember, I had misfiring issues. I wasn't aware that it was actually just bad fuel or water in the fuel. So to troubleshoot it, I tried a different coil. It was the same. And then I put a regular distributor in there with points, and it ran the same. However, one thing I did notice, I set this up at the proper ignition timing with a timing light, like 8 degrees or something. However, it has a tendency to want to backfire when it starts. Like if it doesn't start right away, you can feel the engine want to go backwards. So what we're going to do is pull the plugs, because I think it's a good thing I should clean those as well. They're pretty new, but it's just, yeah, now during what's been standing, I've been moving it around every now and then. So that's also why we're, of course, even if the oil was fresh, we'd be changing anyways, because it's probably pretty watered down with fuel. But I want to find top dead center on cylinder 1, or in this case, that's cylinder 6, just to make sure that the markings on my harmonic balancer are actually correct, because I'm not really sure if they are. This is a good time to do that when we pull the distributor. So I'm going to pull out the plugs. We'll have a look at that. Then we'll turn the engine over by hand until the rotor points at cylinder 6, which is the front cylinder XK engine. We always go through this because I always get comments. Nope, that is not cylinder 1. Not cylinder 1 on an XK engine. So we'll do that, set that up, and hopefully find that the marking's incorrect and do that. The best way to do it would be to pull the cam covers. We're not going to do that now because I want to pull the covers in the future to actually set valve clearances a little bit, the tappets, but we're not doing that right now. I want to get out and drive this thing. So we'll do it with a screwdriver in here, rocking back and forth, and we should get a pretty close result. So I pulled the distributor cap, and it's actually pretty much pointing at cylinder 6 at the moment. So this piston, yeah, it is pretty high up if we compare it to that one. And I can see the mark on here, so we're pretty close. But remember, that distributor is set at 8 degrees, so there should be a difference here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over here, and you guys have a look at the screwdriver. It should continue moving up now, and then we should get to a point where it sort of plateaus for a little bit and then starts going down again. So that's really what we're looking for. So let me start by turning the engine. All right, we're still going up. Still going up. Still going up. Still going up. Just gonna move my socket here a bit. And we're very close to the mark right now, which I have on the damper here. Okay, we're going down again. And down here, when it started going down again, we're about this far from the marker actually. So, let's see. Alright, we're going down. So we were pretty close. I'm going to turn it over another rotation, or 2 rotations, I mean. And we'll come back to the same spot, and we'll try and sort of find a balance of where top dead center actually is. Like I said, the most accurate way is to get the cam covers off, but we'll get as close as we can. After doing a couple of revolutions, this is what I found. So, if you can see down there, that's a mark that someone's made. That's not the original one. There is the pointer, and it's actually right at 0. So that is perfect. I can't remember right now. I might have used that mark that someone made. I don't know. Maybe that is, that could actually be 8 degrees, which is correct. But anyways, it's perfectly right on 0. So that's really good news. I'm going to mark that just with a little bit white paint right there in 0, so it's easier to see. But now I know that everything lines up as it should. I can pull out that distributor, put the 1, 2, 3 back in. It's my Tune Plus, so you actually set that at 0, and then in the app I add the initial timing and all of that. So really, really good news. That is all perfectly set up, and the plugs, they actually looked even. Yes, they're quite dark. That's just because the last 10 starts or so have just been through around the yard, moving it in and out of storage. So nothing wrong with those plugs. I'll just clean them off real quickly, put them back in, and we'll whip that distributor out, put the 1, 2, 3 back in. All right, a little bit of progress has been made. Over here, I just put a little bit of sealant, windshield sealant there, and one up here. Up here, there was one before, probably put many, many years before I had the car, here in the corner, and it was cracked, and that's where I think I had my leak. But I did one here as well, because it's only the driver's side that can get a little bit of water in it sometimes. So hopefully that fixes that. Then on the other side, I plopped the 1, 2, 3 back in. It is set pointing at cylinder 6. And all of that, I need to hook up the vacuum to it. The correct coil is in place and all of that. And then I need to turn on the ignition and set that so that that little diode lights up. And then I know it's all good. And then I can open up the app and load up my my map into it again. And that should be good to go. But we can cross a couple things off the list. And I think we're going to have to add something to the list as well. So, exhaust leak fixed. Swap distributor. Yeah, we've done that. Oil change, half of it, because I want to change it one more time. Swap tires still need to do. Steel windscreen, we have done that. We haven't flushed fuel system, but we need to do one thing up front. I noticed that the brakes, it's been sitting there a little, it moves a little bit this side, the other side, they're pretty stuck. So I think we're just going to look over the brakes, just because it's been a long time since it ran. Look over brakes. So crossed 3 things off the list and added 1 thing. So really not too bad. With that, I'm going to call it for this video. My plan was to get all this done in 1 video, but the cold has really slowed me down. I can be out here for like a couple hours or so, but then even if I have a lot of layers on and, you know, like long johns and things, I still get cold. I did receive a message, like I said, so it's on its way, a new circuit board for that, so I should get that at the beginning of next week. I think I might try and finish this up before that. It's not that much left to do. However, didn't get quite as far as I wanted to on this video. But next time, we should have this thing out and running and on its winter tires, out enjoying the lovely winter weather. We have a tiny little bit of snow outside and it's really nice, and this thing is so much fun. So hopefully next week it will be back doing all the daily driver duties, the school run and all of that. Also, why I don't really want to get too cold is my kids have been sick all week and I've been home with them. That's also why I haven't been able to work as much. But I think if I'm out here for hours and I get really cold, maybe I'll get there cold. Because so far, I haven't gotten it. But you know what it's like with small kids and their illnesses. You can easily get them. But we've made some great progress. So really it's just another oil change after I fire it up and run it for about half an hour. Drain the fuel, put fresh fuel in it. There shouldn't be much left. I think there might be like 3 liters or something, or even 5. I mean, the gauge doesn't even move. Put some water treatment in there and some other additives. So if there's any crud left in the system, we'll get that out. Change the fuel filter, change tires, and just have a quick look over the brakes and make sure that nothing is stuck or anything like that. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This is Living with Classic. I'll see you soon.